The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're gonna love it.
Okay, let's go.
I have to tell you, this is, I'm not even kidding. I've been so looking forward to this interview.
Me too, bro. I know the last time it was my bad, dude. Work called me, and you know how that stuff goes, but I made sure that I'm available today.
Well, you know what? Once I think we get into what your work is, people will realize why you stood me up that one time and why I didn't mind, because
I owe you, dude.
it's all good. All right, listen, everybody. By the way, you guys know with these guest interviews, these are video podcasts. If you are on Spotify, you can watch the video. If you are on YouTube, it's available obviously on video. Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Pandora, all that, you're just getting the audio. But man, you might want to check out the video, because this is about as badass of a guest that I've ever brought on. And not only because of what he does and what he's into, but shit, today, the way he's dressed, my man is looking the part. This is Tarek Kudura. Now, he actually goes by JoeyNobody. And so I'm going to probably call you Joey, but start us off by just explaining that.
So what's going on, brother? First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me, bro. And I want to give it a shout out to my boy Hassan here at the Contact Factory in ATX. You guys should check him out. Awesome, sick recording studio here in Austin, the Contact Factory. Ray, it's a pleasure. But man, honestly, you know, I'm better at answering questions because all I do is ask questions at work. So when I'm off work, I usually let people ask me the questions. So you let me know where you want to start, bro. I'm an open book. You already know how it goes.
All right. You know what? Let's jump into what your work is, because, you know, I pitched you as a guy that protects children, and so much respect for that. So let's start there, man. Tell us what your work is.
So, man, honestly, I kind of fell into this, you know, just to backtrack a little bit of how it all started, you know, military, got in a little bit of trouble in the military, got kicked out, went into government contracting. I was an interpreter, did that for 4 years. Then I got into law enforcement in Texas, here in Texas. And, you know, started in corrections, did patrol, worked gang unit, narcotics, did it all, man. And then I was like, you know, I want something that I was passionate about. The war on drugs wasn't really my passion, because I saw that it was like an endless cycle of people are always going to do drugs. You know what I mean? And I personally, myself, don't believe in the war on drugs, because I feel like the criminal justice reform doesn't work in this country. I believe in therapy and stuff like that. But anyways, going back to the question, I was passionate about kids, man. I don't know. It was just something in me. I had a tough childhood. And, you know, I started as an investigator for CPS, actually, in Nevada, right? That was like my first taste of it.
And what's CPS? What's CPS?
It's Child Protective Services.
Okay.
Essentially, they're social workers. They are public servants, but they're social workers. And I was an investigator. I did that for a year. Investigated a lot of child sex crimes, child trafficking. It's huge in Vegas, by the way, huge. And I enjoyed it, but I wanted to do more. There's a lot of red tape when it comes to Child Protective Services. They're not law enforcement, so you can't make arrests, right? Your job is to keep the children safe. So I started looking into government contracting on the children side, you know, on the kids side. And ICE at the time, you know, Customs and Immigration, had a contract in Vegas that was dealing with kids, you know, and people crossing the border. And I did that for a little bit, but then I went on to the other side. Won't mention the specific agency, but people can figure it out. And they were doing a lot of rescue operations actually on the border in Tijuana. That was in 2021, and that was probably like one of the most badass contracts I ever did. We rescued 1,500 kids that summer.
1,500 kids. These are kids that are trying to get smuggled in from Mexico into the United States.
Yes,
and we're talking on the southern border in Texas, right?
No, this was this. So this contract, I've operated all
Oh, this
over.
was Tijuana, you said. Okay,
Tijuana,
got
so
it, got it, got it.
California, it's not San
California.
Diego border.
Okay, okay, wow, 100 kids.
And that was just the ones that we caught, right? Think about all the ones that we didn't catch. I mean, the numbers are astronomical. People don't realize how big of a deal this is. It's a billion-dollar industry. You know, drug trafficking used to be the number one criminal profiting business in the U.S., and it is no longer drug trafficking. It is child trafficking now. It's number one. The U.S., I believe, media does not cover it as much. In my opinion, and from my background, my experience, it's because a lot of heavy hitters, I'm not going to mention specific people, but you guys can figure out what I'm talking about. Politicians, doctors, lawyers, big name people in our government are involved in it. And it's not a conspiracy. I've witnessed it firsthand. I didn't make any arrests on that side, but I was responsible for kids. I was a site supervisor on that contract. And yeah, man, within 3 months, we saved 1,500. And that was under the Biden administration. I don't want to get too much into politics, but under Trump, when I was contracting for ICE, we did, I think, more under Trump than Biden. I'm not a fan of neither. I'm a fan of rescuing kids. I don't care who's president or any of that. My objective is, at the end of the day, what keeps me going, bro, is children, you know? That's what just gets me going every day, man.
That's insane. All right, so, and I know you're unbelievably authentic and raw, and you're going to give it to us straight. So
That's right.
What I want people to understand from what you just said is this concept and problem of child trafficking. This shit is real. This is real, right? Like, this is obviously not something that, I think a lot of people, especially over the past 4 years, thought that, the Republicans were playing this up because they were trying to make the southern border, especially in Texas, look weak. And they were trying to, tear down the Biden administration, tear down Kamala Harris as the border czar, and say this is made up. It's not a problem. You're telling us firsthand this is a real freaking problem and a real business.
It is. It's a huge problem. And it's funny that you mentioned Kamala Harris, because at the end of that mission, the 3-month mission with the 1,500 kids, guess who decided to show up at the end of it? At the end of the success of the mission, she showed up, not while we were doing all the work. She showed up at the end and basically took credit for, her working with the governor. By the way, I didn't shake her hand, just for all the viewers out there. I was pissed. I was the only one that didn't out of all the other guys on the mission, because I felt disrespected. Like, it was a slap in the face. We're out here doing all the work. Where was the support when we needed you? When these little girls, 5, 6, 7 years old, needed you. You guys waited way too long. And this is the problem with politicians, dude. Is they'll do a job for 2-3 months, right? And then say, hey, look, we're doing something about it. What about the rest of the year? I mean,
yeah.
Who's rescuing kids right now besides us? I don't see anyone doing it. I'm hoping Trump actually follows through with what he's saying. He's saying he's going to bring it to the cartel, and he's going to fight the cartel and start charging everyone that traffics children with felonies, straight up felonies. Right now, believe it or not, a lot of them get slaps on the wrist for trafficking kids, man. They'll either get deported or you'll get like 6 months to a year. That's not enough. You're trafficking a freaking child. People that have marijuana get longer sentences than that. It's crazy.
Where did these kids come from? Are these all Mexican kids, or are these kids from all over the world that get moved into Mexico and then Mexico to the United States?
Believe it or not, a small percentage of them are from Mexico. I personally saw kids from Ukraine, Russia, China, India. I mean, you'd be shocked, man. I'm talking about like kids from overseas, the Middle East. You see it all. A lot of South American countries, Honduras, Venezuela, Guatemala, a lot of those like poor third world countries. And unfortunately, man, they get caught up in this because what the cartel does, they're very smart. Okay. The cartel is not stupid. A lot of Americans think, oh, you got all these wild Mexicans, with plate carriers off Amazon and, fake fake machine guns and all this stuff, and they don't know how to dress. They don't know what they're doing. No, dude. They're very well organized. I operated in Mexico, in Guadalajara. Those, especially CJNG. A lot of people, talk about Sinaloa because of El Chapo.
Yeah.
But the dangerous ones are the Jalisco cartel, and I've encountered them firsthand. These guys, I mean, I could get into the story if you want, dude. I was down in Guadalajara doing surveillance for an agency that I will not name because right now the DEA is not allowed to operate there. So clandestine operations are conducted in Mexico, basically just surveillance, right, on the cartel, what they're doing, where they're going, all that stuff. And I was in a little town. I don't want to mention the town, but it's a small town outside Guadalajara. And I was staying in a hotel, and come to know it, I was in the bar downstairs. It was like around 9 o'clock, unwinding after, working all day. I get surrounded. You can't make this shit up. I turn around, and I get surrounded by fucking 3 Sicarios in the bar of this hotel. They close the door of the bar. The bartender's in on it, by the way, and I'm assuming he's the one that tipped them off, right? They're like, you got this guy, he's heavily tattooed, he's not Hispanic. I understand Spanish, but my Spanish isn't that great. It's workable, but they know that you're not from there, right? They surround me in a bar, dude. This was, I want to say like two years ago. I'm talking about 2 years. Yeah, around 2 years ago. And they speak English. They're like, hey, what are you doing here? You're American, huh? And I'm like, I already knew what was going on. I'm unarmed, sitting in a bar. They probably just drugged my drink, and they did, by the way. They drugged my drink. I feel it hitting me. And I knew we're trained. From my background, I'm trained on what to do in situations like that, especially in a foreign country with no backup. Shout out to all the law enforcement, but you want to talk about having big cojones, go contract for some of these 3-letter agencies in foreign countries, unarmed, by yourself, getting drugged in a bar, being surrounded by Sicarios. That's one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me in my life, I would say. It's definitely going in my book.
So what happened? What happened in that situation?
Me, right? And I'm like, all right, I feel the drug, because it was my first rum and Coke. I won't even drink Bacardi and Coke now because of that shit. It was a Bacardi and Coke. They drugged it. It had like, I want to say PCP, a combination of PCP and Rufalin. Rufalin was so that your body can't react. The PCP for your mind to keep going. They do that. They give that combo to people that you see getting tortured in those cartel videos. That's how they stay awake. They can't move around when, they're like torturing them and cutting body parts and all that shit. That's how you see in these videos. These guys are like still alive and going, but can't defend themselves. It's that.
So the PCP, I don't even know what that stands for.
So the PCP, it controls your nerve system, right? So it'll keep you going, but the Rufalin, it'll keep your mind going. It's like a strong upper, strong upper.
Okay.
Like the people that have insane demonic strength, and I don't know if you've seen those police videos where they're like 3 cops are tasing the guy and he's still getting up and attacking. It's stronger than meth.
Wow.
And it comes in liquid or powder form, small amount. I'm assuming the bartender probably slipped it in there with Rufalin, droplets, GHB. The mix, the heart will be racing, by the way. Let me tell you about how I felt. Not only was I scared because I'm surrounded by 3 Sicarios in a fucking bar in Guadalajara by myself, right? My heart, it felt like I was going to have a heart attack. It felt like I consumed 10 Red Bulls, but the Rufalin will shut your body down. So essentially it's like GHB, right?
Got it.
It's a form of GHB. It's a rape drug. That's what it is.
When girls roofie. Okay, roofie.
Yeah,
basically.
that's what it is. Rufalin.
Got it.
So a combination of that with PCP is like a recipe for a stroke, dude. I'm surprised I even made it out alive from that fucking bar, dude. I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. And meanwhile, I'm trying to stay calm. At this point, I'm sweating, and I'm trying to stay calm. I'm using my training.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of training for situations like that. The best thing to do in a situation like that, for everyone watching, in case you're ever drugged in a bar surrounded by Sicarios, is to stay calm. Because the more you freak out, the more the drug starts going to your bloodstream. Yeah, your heart. The more your heart starts pumping,
okay,
the more it's gonna get worse for you. So the best part, as hard as it is to stay calm. So these guys surround me, right? Going back to what happened to me. These guys surround me. I stay seated. I don't even get up. I don't show a reaction because I know what's about to go on. If they wanted me dead, I would have already been shot in the back of the head while I was sitting at that bar. That's just plain and simple, dude. They don't mess around. They'll kill you, right? They don't give a fuck. They'll kill you. They surround me. Hey, what are you doing? You're American? I'm like, yeah, I'm American. First thing they say, are you DEA? No, I'm not DEA. You look like you're DEA. You have all these tattoos, got the mustache going. You're not one of us. Because, down there, you're either DEA or cartel if you look like me.
Yeah.
And that's it. If you look like me, you're either cartel or DEA. I'm like, I'm not DEA. They start going through my pockets. I'm like, my phone's in my right pocket. My wallet's in there. I'm like, if you guys want to verify who I am and you don't believe who I am, I'll tell you who I am. I'm conducting surveillance. I'm not here to arrest anyone for an agency. Okay, I'm a contractor. I'm a private contractor, so I'm not that agency officer. I don't want to name the agency, but I'm not an officer for that agency. I'm a contractor down here just doing surveillance. Feel free to call the embassy. They'll verify who I am. They're like, all right, we'll be right back. They grab my wallet. They take my driver license. One of them goes out. The other two I have two guys. They're armed, by the way, but they don't have their weapons drawn. They have it in their waist to let me know, don't do anything stupid because we'll kill you. The guy goes out and makes a phone call with my driver license. I'm like, all right, I know what they're doing. They have their own intel guys, just like we have here in the U.S. Like the cartel has their own intelligence.
That's amazing.
What's that? Go ahead.
I said, that's amazing. I mean, people think these cartels are like just, stupid, but they're probably highly sophisticated with probably technology that's as good as what anyone else has. So I'm sure they're running your ID through their database. And then who knows, maybe they're tapped into our database. Who knows? All right, go on,
well,
go on.
This is amazing. Funny story is, it's funny that you say that. So they contact our guy in Mexican intelligence, bro. I'm talking about government. The cartel has the guy on speed dial. He talks to them. He's like, yeah, Tarek Kudura. Yeah, he's not drug enforcement agent. No, we don't have that on file. However, he is a contractor. He works in intelligence. They even were showing this because he came back later and he's like, all right, yeah, what you told us is the truth, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to go upstairs, pack your shit up, and the first flight out of here leaves out of Monterrey. You're going to fucking fly over there, and then from there, you're going to go back home, and you're never going to fucking come back to Guadalajara. I'm like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. Fucking got up. They gave me my phone, my wallet. They followed me all the way into the hotel lobby. They're like, we know what room you're in. Have a good night. At this point, bro, like, I'm barely, like, walking because that drug, the Rufalin, is fucking hitting me.
Yeah.
But what's keeping me going is the PCP, because if it wasn't for the PCP, I'd be on the floor. I'd be like a vegetable, dude. I would have been on the floor.
So you ended up getting out of there, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And, I tell this story. I've told the story before, and a lot of people say that I'm extremely lucky to have walked out of that bar alive. And I think the only reason they let me walk, bro, is because I was honest and I was calm. That's the only thing. If I lied to them, I would have been dead. If I freaked out, I would have been dead. So my training came in handy.
So when it comes to the cartels, I mean, again, my knowledge of the cartels is pretty much the Netflix shows that I've watched, like Narcos and Narcos Mexico and all that. They're great shows. And I've always wondered, I'm like, is this really what these guys are like? And it seems like it is. I mean, they're tied into the government. They're tied into, it was like Pablo Escobar, who had every cop on the payroll. Like, I think a lot of people think, oh, this is just for the TV show. Dude, it's not. It probably is that. They're a feeding system for all that stuff, huh?
Dude, they're well connected even with our government agencies here. It's not a conspiracy, I can tell you firsthand. Because guess what? When I came back stateside, my supervisor calls me. He's like, hey, we need to talk. Guess what? Mexican intel guy calls my agency contractor and tells him, hey, your guy fucked up. He was in the wrong hotel at a bar drinking. Usually I don't drink when I'm on those kind of like, when I'm working, I don't drink. But I wanted to unwind. I was there for a week. The coast was clear. That's so I thought. But they were watching me the whole time. I was watching them, but they were watching me, dude. And I knew they were watching me, but I never saw them.
Yeah.
They have what's called hawks, which is basically what I was doing. They'll never approach you, but they'll watch you from a distance and they'll follow you everywhere. These guys are fucking pros, dude. When I talk about the CIA, no. The hawks for the cartel will outmaneuver any CIA officer I know, dude. They're good. It's all they do every fucking day, bro.
And then among these different cartels, I mean, it's not like they're all one big team, right? Like they hate each other. They're probably hawking each other. It's a serious turf war like you see on the shows. That's legit as well, huh?
Yes, that is correct. And believe it or not, the recent files have been unclassified from the CIA about the government, the U.S. government, collaborating with the Sinaloa cartel to take out other cartels like Juarez Cartel, CJNG, CDN. So they collaborate with the Sinaloa cartel, brother. They'll give them information. They'll give them, I don't know if they give them weapons. I'm like iffy about that. I don't know too much, but I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm sure, because our weapons always end up in Mexico, and you can't tell me that the government isn't bringing it down. Because we have checkpoints. A civilian's not bringing that shit down. If anyone's bringing any shit, it's going to be people from down there bringing it up here, not the other way around.
Yeah, especially with the quantity of weapons that I'm sure they're doing. All right, last question on the cartels. What about like all the stuff you see where they employ all the little kids? Like the little kids are like, little birdies is that stuff true or is that kind of fiction?
No, they definitely use kids, as lookouts and stuff like that. Everything you see, the best movie that, in my opinion, shows exactly how it is would be Sicario, believe it or not, dude.
Okay, the movie Sicario.
It's fairly accurate. Out of all these other Hollywood movies, I would say it's pretty fairly accurate to how things operate in the cartel world,
Okay.
Yeah. Sicario, man. A good movie, by the way. If any of y'all haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend it, especially the two recent ones, man. They're pretty good. There's a fourth one coming out, I believe, too.
All right, I'm going to watch it again. All right, let me get back to the child trafficking stuff because I want your opinion on, Tim Ballard and that whole Sound of Freedom movie and all that stuff, and I will say when I first saw it, I was like, okay, wow, this guy's incredible. And that was another situation where in my mind, I was like, why is he getting not supported by everybody? Is there more to this story? So, dude, would love your opinion on that dude and that movie and all that.
So Tim Ballard, he doesn't know me. He probably knows of me, but he doesn't know me on a personal level, right? Like he's seen my stories on Instagram. He's liked a couple of posts here and there and stuff like that. I know his background. He actually worked for Homeland Security. I was a contractor, but he was an actual federal agent. And yeah, he got basically let go because he didn't agree with a lot of things that happened. We do share a similar story. I left contracting for Homeland. I can get into that later because I didn't agree with a lot of the shit that was happening under the Biden administration. Those guys even investigated me, but we could talk about that later. But he left them to do his own thing. Now, personally, let me say this. The movie would have not went into movie theaters if the powers that be would have not allowed it, okay? That's all I'm going to say. A lot of people say he didn't get support. The dude's a millionaire. A lot of people don't know this. He's making a lot of fucking money, dude. Go look at the houses and the travel and the vacations and all that shit that him and his wife and his kids. Good guy, don't get me wrong.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Do not be fooled, though.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. Yes, he rescues kids. Yes, he has a great organization. But anyone that's very vocal in public like that and gets away with it without getting in trouble with the government or cartels or any of that stuff has a working relationship with those people. Like, that's
All
all
right.
I'm going to say, man.
I get it. I get it. You're saying it without totally saying it, but you're saying it.
That's how the business goes.
All
Now,
right.
for me, how I'm vocal and able to do it is because I know what to say and what not to say, stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm not being watched and all that stuff, but I have a working relationship as well with the government agencies. I have my contacts also in Mexico. It's the way the business goes. You can't rescue kids without working both sides of the fence. That's it. It's a gray world, bro.
That's
Anything
amazing.
with kids is gray. It's not
God,
black
dude,
and
I
white.
love that. I mean, listen, that is just so, and that was what about Tim Ballard kind of, I was impressed with. I'm like, all right, here's a guy that's, rescuing kids. I totally get what you're saying in terms of, to be able to do what he did as vocally and as visually and as broad, there probably is a level of controlled opposition, as they say. So I totally get that. All right, let's, I really want your opinion on some recent stuff that's happened. So let's start with, although God, this feels like this was a year ago, but the Luigi Mangione, the kid that shoots that.
I knew that was coming, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm very vocal, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets me in trouble, but I believe in always sharing the truth, and that's why now I've been doing podcasts. For the longest time, I wasn't doing podcasts because, like, I don't want to say too much, but now I believe is the time to be vocal about it. So Luigi Mangione, I'm probably butchering his last name. Let me say this, okay? I'll start off with that the feds recently, they didn't really cover it on the news because of the terrorist attacks that have been happening right here in the country. Vegas, New Orleans. The same day that happened, the CEO of United Healthcare, the feds went and raided his house, right? They found tunnels underneath his house. This isn't on the news, but you can Google it. There's articles about it.
And we're talking about the CEO.
The CEO that just got killed recently.
Okay. Oh, the dude that got Brian Thompson, the one that was killed?
They raided his house because there was allegations that he was affiliated with child trafficking. And guess what? There's pictures of it. If you Google, there's pictures of it online. But the day they raided it was the day the terrorist attack happened. And let me tell you something. The government does not work on coincidence. That's all I'm going to say, bro. It's not a coincidence. It was a distraction. But they found tunnels underneath his house. And the manifesto that Luigi had, he had like symbols and some like crazy stuff. It wasn't just words. If you really look at it, he had like symbols and like weird stuff in it, like codes.
Yeah.
They found those codes on the walls of the tunnels underneath the CEO's house.
Holy shit. Yeah,
So
I didn't hear anything
it goes
about
deeper.
this.
Like, this is crazy. It goes deeper. I think this is what I think. You want my opinion on what I think?
I mean, do you think he was the shooter, Luigi?
No, I don't think he was a shooter. I'm going to tell you right now, he was a patsy. As a guy that has contracted for intelligence agencies for over 10 years, I'll tell you right now, he was a scapegoat. He was not the shooter. He did not match the description. It was similar. Planted. Who the hell walks around with a backpack full of Monopoly money and hits up, what was it, Burger King?
McDonald's. Yeah, that was weird. That was
killing
super
someone.
weird.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was super weird.
Millions. He just wasted his whole life away for killing a CEO? No, dude. It goes deeper. You ready for this?
Okay. Yeah.
So this is what I think, okay? I don't want the FBI now coming and asking me 100 questions. This is my opinion. You guys can take it or leave it, all right? I think Luigi knew what the CEO was involved in. Kids shit. I don't want to go in too much into that. But, nasty shit. Luigi had a problem with it. So Luigi was getting ready to speak out about it. So, as a result, just like with Epstein and Diddy and all that shit, this was another scenario similar to that. Before Luigi could speak out about it, right, they planted a manifesto. I think the government did, or the feds, whoever was responsible for this. It was orchestrated. They sent some guy, and by the way, that guy wasn't just some random dude. because it was one shot, one kill. He knew exactly where to shoot him, and it was a silenced weapon. So what I think was, I don't know if he was an agent or whatever you want to call it, or a hitman, or I don't know who he was, but it wasn't Luigi. Luigi was getting ready to expose what the CEO was involved in. They set him up. Now he's in prison. And that's why when he was walking away, I don't know if you saw when they arrested him and they were transporting him into jail, he said the American people deserve to know. This is like something along those lines. This is a shame to the American people. He's talking about, he's not talking about health insurance. I mean, yeah, that's a big problem. They're fraud, the health, it's the biggest scam in America.
Yeah.
Medical insurance.
Claims. Yep.
He's talking about what they're involved in, dude. The child shit. That's what he was talking about. Everyone knows that the health industry is $1 billion scam. He's talking about what they're involved in, the kid shit. And I think, they silenced him, unfortunately. That's what happens. Anytime you know something and you're a witness, you're getting ready to expose someone like that.
Yeah.
They'll silence you, dude. So that's what happened. Luigi did not kill him. He was getting ready to talk about it. He knew what was going on. I'm sure he's been to the CEO's house because the CEO used to throw like Christmas parties and shit. All the people that worked for him would go there and shit. And Luigi was among that circle, right?
Wow. Okay. All right. Wow. That definitely a different take than
man.
I've heard.
You can keep going down that rabbit hole and people will call it a conspiracy, but it is not a conspiracy. Okay. It can be proven. You just got to do a little bit of research. You can't get your information from the U.S. media.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. Speaking of rabbit holes, you have any thoughts on the Epstein and then Diddy? Like, are those guys patsies, or were they really, integral in what was taking place, and anything there?
Those guys weren't on the level of the people that were actually doing it.
Okay.
That's what I think. And I think the reason they're in jail is because they were getting ready to expose them. Same thing with Luigi. This happens a lot in the country, and it's not something recent. It's just being more well-known now because people record, people talk, we have social media. But this has been going on in the country, dude, since the 60s and 70s.
I feel you. Yeah.
Even with JFK and Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Bob Marley, the list is endless, bro. Those people weren't just random people that died. They knew a lot of what was going on behind the scenes. And, I hate to say it, but they were silenced.
I totally agree, man. I totally agree. I think all of those guys, it's funny. It's always the guys preaching for peace, the John Lennons, like you said, MLK, Malcolm X, JFK, all these guys, they're the ones that are going up against, the forces that be, the powers that be, and they're the ones that get silenced. No, I totally get that. All right, let's jump into current day, the New Year's Day stuff. And why don't we, either start with the New Orleans guy or start with the Vegas guy, and dude, give us your thoughts on those.
So, like I said before, nothing is coincidental. All right. So people will say, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're delusional. My dad thinks I'm nuts. Let me just say that. Okay. Dad, if you're watching this, I love you, but I am not nuts. It's just because I see what you don't see. And the average person in the U.S. does not see the things that I've seen, right? Especially working in my field.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to think I'm crazy. People are entitled to think what they want to think, but I can tell you from my experience that nothing that happens is coincidental. Those attacks, I believe, are for a reason. I'm not 100% sure what that reason is. Honestly, I'm not, because it was a senseless act. But both those guys worked in an intel background. One was IT, the other one was a special forces. The New Orleans guy was an IT guy, right?
Yeah.
He had a top secret clearance. The special forces guy was also a communications guy. He was intel as well. Matt from the Vegas guy. Both of them were stationed together. Both of them communicated. They even proved that they had phone calls prior to the attacks. So those things were set up. Now, do I believe the people that did it was Matt in that car, and was that, I forget his name, Shabazz, whatever his name is, was the guy that fell out of that truck after they sprayed him, littered him with bullets? No, they were not those two. I think they look similar. Let me tell you, it wasn't them, bro. It was not them. I'm not saying that there weren't people that actually did it, because there's pictures of a guy that was in the car caught on flames. You know, in Vegas, there's a guy that got shot. But if you compare the pictures, and even if you like, dude, just zoom in. It's not them. They look similar, but it's not them, dude. It's not. These guys had it all. I mean, the Shabazz in Houston was a real estate agent. He was well off. He had a good background. You know, he worked for a big defense contractor called, I probably will butcher it, Deloitte. Am I saying that right?
I think it was with Deloitte. He was like a management consultant.
Yeah, Deloitte. Sorry,
too.
Deloitte. Yeah, he worked for them, dude. So the guy had a clearance. The guy was affiliated with the government. So was Matt. He was active in Haiti recently. He's done a lot of shit overseas. I'm sure he's contracted for that 3-letter agency that I was talking about earlier. They use these people. They're what we call in the intelligence field assets, or like agents, not officers, but like assets or agents. And what I mean by that is they basically strike deals with these people. That's what they do. They're masters of deception, right? They'll use them. They're actors. They're what we call crisis actors, right? That name has been mentioned in the past, you know, shootings and shit like that. And they are real, bro. They are real. We do have crisis actors. We do use them for events. Usually there's a bigger agenda for the government. And that's why these things happen. And unfortunately, senseless people end up getting killed because of this.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That's a sad part, man. It's like, first of all, everything you say is plausible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, you know, it's the innocent people that are getting killed because of whatever the situation is, dude. It's a mess. All right, let me actually go ahead.
I don't want to get too much into it because I'm not petty, but what really pisses me off is the guys that run the podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get into, actually. That's funny.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I hate to mention names, dude, but there's one that really, really irritates me, right? Because he came from I'm not a Navy SEAL like him, but we both contracted for that 3-letter agency. He's a badass. He's a special operator, all that shit. I worked in Intel as an intelligence officer. And recently he's been pissing me off more and more and more. And I hate to be petty, but I have to put him on. I have to be that guy that puts him in check because we're from the same circle. So if anyone's going to put that guy in check, it's going to be me. All right. And I don't care what the outcome of this is, but I feel like I have to be vocal about it because he's deceiving millions and millions of people. Shawn Ryan, I have a problem, buddy.
Shit.
Recently, he's been pushing. I mean, I know that the guy is supported by the government and the 3-letter agency helps fund his podcast. By the way, those big guys like Joe Rogan, Shawn Ryan, all these guys, no one goes on that podcast without the government saying yes. That's the way it works. Plain and simple. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But recently he's been pushing a lot of propaganda, dude. You know, having that bitch, excuse my French, Sarah Adams, who's always in there, that fucking fat cow. I mean, now I'm going to get fucking really... Because that kind of shit
it's your show, man. It's your show. Yeah, give it.
You know why?
By the way, let me set this up a little bit because, again, I never really followed Shawn Ryan much, but I just have been following this controversy because it's garnering so much attention. But it seems like what happened was Shawn Ryan got contacted by this guy, Sam Shoemate or something.
Yeah, an intelligence officer just like me who was paid by the U.S. government to send him a fucking fake email. By the way, I called Shawn Ryan out. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
But this is because this is fresh in my mind, so I wanted to say it. I called Shawn Ryan out, that bitch, okay, because that's what he is now. I used to respect him for fucking pushing that propaganda. That email was fake, and by the way, I have a lot of proof for it, and it's even on Reddit, by the way, now. I started a whole trend when I called him out. This is within the last 48 hours. A lot of people are now calling him out as well.
Yeah, they are.
It's obvious, dude. He brought this intelligence officer, same title as me, probably paid him 10 grand or whatever the fuck it is. We all get paid, right? At the end of the day, it's about money. I'll be honest with you. but you can't fucking buy me. And that's why I hate guys like Shawn Ryan, that fucking piece of shit that's sent out the email, and Sarah Adams. They're all paid, dude, by the U.S. government to fucking push disinformation to millions of people. And unfortunately, a large majority eat that shit up. Shawn Ryan, let me get on my fucking knees for you because you're a Navy SEAL and you're a CIA. We love you. Yeah, cool. He's got a fucking cool background, but he uses that cool background to push out fucking bullshit down your throats. And all you guys out there, not all, a big percentage of you eat it up. But I'm glad I called him out because people are waking up now. So I did the right thing, in my opinion. You know, it could have backfired on me, and it probably might. However, I'd rather it backfire than on me. But as long as the American public is aware of the truth and they're not fucking decepted by all these fucking fake fucking assholes, you know, if I had a platform that he had, I would do the right thing and be like, no, look, this was orchestrated. No, he's doing the fucking opposite, dude.
So are you thinking,
respect for him when he did that.
Are you thinking that email that they claimed the Matt Livesberger sent the Sam Shoe guy? Because again, I mean, I'm just following the thread on Twitter and I'm following the thread on Instagram. And I will say there are a lot of people who are thinking exactly like you're thinking. And they just don't feel these guys are being authentic with this. And it's almost like, it's almost like, what do you call it? It's like a reverse psyop, you know, it's like a reverse psyop, or they're hitting people with the reverse Uno card or something.
And Ray, you said psyop, and that is exactly everything that's been happening is psyop. And guess what my expertise is? Ecological operations. And I can tell you as a subject matter expert in psyops, I mean, I'm the king of it, dude. I used to interrogate fucking terrorists, telemembers, everything, you name it, dude. I used to interrogate those guys. That's my specialty. I'm not a door kicker. I'm not a badass shooter or any of that. I'm not special ops or Navy SEAL. I'm intel. I'm great at getting into the mind of people, and that's exactly what these fuckers are doing. They can't fucking fool me, and I'm going to be the one that fucking exposes them, and here I am right now talking about it. So, guys, go on Reddit, Google that shit, do your own research. Reddit is awesome, by the way, because there's other guys. I
haven't gone on it. I haven't gone on it to look at this. I'll go check out your
The reason I like Reddit is because there's guys like me who are actually active right now with the government. I'm no longer active, you know, as a government agent. I'm a contractor, but there's actual active guys that anonymously and professionally post on there proof that email was bullshit. There's a whole fucking thread about it. It's going viral right now. The email was bullshit. There's a lot of indiscrepancies in it. And it magically appeared now after the fucking attacks happened. Where were you? Where was that fucking Sam cocksucker Schuler guy before the attacks happened? If he's such a badass intelligence officer, why did he ignore the motherfucking email when the guy was giving him a heads up about what was about to happen? Now, because it happened, he wants to go on the Shawn Ryan show, right? One of the biggest podcasts out there, to talk about the email that he received months ago. Yeah, dude, go fucking fool someone else. Go fucking suck a dick. Yeah, I said it. Go do that, dude. I hate fucking guys like that. Nothing pisses me off. You know, I took an oath, and when I did what I did and worked for the government, I took an oath to help people and serve the people in the United States. Like, the United States government is here to serve people, not people serve the United States government. People get it fucking twisted. You know, that's why I'm sorry, man. I get heated because, like, I'm passionate about it. I take my job seriously and my title seriously. As an intelligence officer, I feel like I love to share my knowledge with the people. That's why I'm an intelligence officer, man. I got to help people. I got to tell them what I know so that they can be safe. You know what I mean?
I think that's great. And I think it's amazing for us to understand what an intelligence officer does. What, you know, even like psyops, like a lot of people don't really understand what that's all about. And they don't understand, you know, they're in one or it's happening to them because, again, that's the whole point. If it's that easy to understand, it's probably not going to be effective. But it's ones that are difficult to figure out. It's like, you know, I talk about like 4-dimensional chess, man. It's like 4D chess where you're like, what is going on? You know, what the hell is really the case? And I will tell you, aside from all this, one thing I've learned the past few years is, when I see the entire mainstream media moving in one direction, chances are the truth is a little bit in the other direction. So you have to be cognizant of that. All right, dude, that was a lot. Anything else on that, or do you have anything else you want to unload?
I think I've unloaded all.
All right, yeah,
Oh,
you did. All right, let's jump back into the southern border, because you're in Texas. So that's another one where, like, the past 4 years, I mean, it's been bad, right? Like, has that border just been literally open the way half of us think it has been? The other
Dude,
half think it's Republicans. It really has, though, right?
Yeah, dude, let me tell you, it's not a Republican Democrat thing. It's a United States thing, right? And the government has been allowing it, but it's now more obvious under the Biden administration. Well, the last 4 years it went to shit. So I was working as an intelligence officer most recently, prior to doing the child trafficking thing, as a intelligence officer for ICE, contracted intelligence officer, okay? So I wasn't an ICE agent. I was hired to a private agency to work intel. And my job was, like, every time ICE, would catch a KST, known suspected terrorist or cartel member or gang member or someone like that, MS-13, my job was to get information from them and share that info, on the intel side of ICE, Joint Terrorism Task Force. I had a problem with ICE because a lot of those guys that would admit to me that, hey, we're with this group or that group, believe it or not, would get fucking released the next day after paying, like, a very hefty bond. Just released onto the streets with no ankle monitors. And if that's not a problem, I mean, I don't know what is. When ICE
You're
is
talking
releasing,
about the people they arrest, the coyotes, they call them, or something, like the
no, I'm
people that are
talking
trying.
about fucking actual goddamn terrorists and cartel members. Now, you see, the bottom of the barrel guys, like the coyotes and shit, dude, those are the ones in detention centers. The ones getting released are the ones with the dinero. And I'm talking about fucking, like, known suspected terrorists, KSTs, bro. Like, a guy, I can't make this shit up. A guy would come and tell me, hey, I'm with the Muslim Brotherhood from Egypt. I'd share it with ICE. They'd ignore me. Send another email. Ignored. Fucking bring it up to my supervisor. Ignored. Fucking start escalating it up. They get mad at me. Hey, the guy has a $500,000 bond. If he pays it, release him tomorrow. What the fuck? I just told you the guy told me that he's part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Oh, it's not our problem. What? Yeah, he committed terrorism in another country. He didn't do anything over here. Once he does something over here, then we'll deal with it. What the fuck? We're Homeland Security. I'm telling you, the guy just told me that he has affiliations with a terrorist group. You're going to take his fucking money, dirty money, probably terrorist money, right? Because we all know most of it is money laundering and arms trafficking and shit. You're going to fucking release him with no ankle monitor out onto the street. You're not going to know where he is. This happened for a year straight, bro, while I was with them.
And so these guys post these bonds, and obviously they're never getting that money back because they never return for it, right? That's how it works. So, like, at 500,000,
exactly, bro. No one ever shows back up for the fucking ICE interview. They don't have to. How are you going to find them? They're undocumented. Ahmed, the terrorist, doesn't have a fucking Texas driver license or an address. How the fuck are you going to know where he is? He's out there right now eating fucking KFC, planning his next attack. As funny as it sounds, that's the reality of it, bro. That's the reality of it. And we're in for a rude awakening. And after I resigned, I got in trouble because they wanted to they pulled 2 fucking OPR agents, which is internal affairs for ICE, pulled me into a black SUV, raped me with questions for 2 hours. Where I've been, what I've done the last 10 years, blah, blah, blah. Like, you cocksuckers. You already ran a fucking entire fucking background check and you interviewed me before I even got selected for the position. Now, because I'm resigning and I'm going to fucking go vocal about it, you have a problem with me and what I did in the Army in 2008 and why I got kicked out of the military. You already know why I got kicked out of the military. I have a general discharge. I don't have a dishonorable. I got called a fucking terrorist and I beat the shit out of a soldier. That's it, plain and simple. I wasn't going to fucking carve down to that shit. I beat the shit out of them. They said if I appeal it, I'm going to get dishonorable and get locked up, or I fucking take my general discharge and fucking get the fuck out of there. And I took the general discharge. That's it. Well, it says here that you were depressed and mentally you weren't stable. How do you want me to be fucking mentally stable when I was getting called a goddamn terrorist by a soldier from fucking hillbilly Kansas or some shit? Trailer trash, call me a terrorist every goddamn day. I'm trying to serve my country.
This is when you were in, this is when you were in the army back in like
I was
2000.
in the army, bro.
Okay.
So I had enough and ended up fucking beating the shit out of them.
Oh, Jesus.
It's not like it is now. The army now is woke. Someone calls you a terrorist, you're getting fucked in the ass by the military. In 2008, dude, we didn't have the woke bullshit. They were racist. I was Arab, serving in the military, right? And they didn't like it. Especially a lot of those guys, you know, from fucking small like towns and cities like in Kansas and the Midwest. They don't like fucking Arabs.
Yeah.
Call me a towelhead every day and shit. So I had enough and I ended up beating the shit out of them. And that's that. Call me mentally unstable, whatever the fuck you.
Guys, at that point in the army, I mean, you guys are all supposedly on the same team, but it's not. It's like
right now, bro, even in law enforcement, even on the fucking federal level, there's guys that follow me on Instagram, bro. I'm not going to mention names. They watch my stories, all my posts, never say good job, never send me an encouraging message. I'm fucking saving kids, you fucking assholes. But because I'm not a part of the fucking cool club guy, you know, they're pissed. Why is this Arab doing more than us? Fucking, their racism will always exist in the United States. One team, my ass, bro. And especially among law enforcement, unfortunately, dude, there's a lot of fucking racism and discrimination. They don't like to see an Arab or a Hispanic guy or a black guy do better.
Yeah,
that's
sad,
that's it,
dude. That's sad. We should all be on the
and I'm saying it right here. It's the truth, man. I've witnessed it firsthand.
So do you think under Trump and this like border czar Tom Homan, like is that guy a good guy? Like, do you like him? Do you think we're moving in a right direction?
He's a cowboy, bro. I'm not gonna say that I love him, but he will clean house, and maybe we do need a cowboy to clean fucking Biden's shit up. And if he's gonna put in work, he says he's gonna put in work. We're gonna see. Getting ready to go down to the border actually next month. So I'm going to see firsthand if Trump and Tom Homan are all talk or all walk, and I'll definitely be in touch and I'll let you know which one it is, bro.
Yeah.
But I think we are preparing to go down to the border and bring the fight to the cartel. So let's see what the fuck is going to happen, man. I'm excited. We'll see.
What about Ukraine? You have any thoughts on kind of what's going on in Ukraine and that whole war and all that? Is that anything you've ever been involved in?
Man, I stayed out of that shit. Me personally, I don't support either side specifically. I definitely don't support Ukraine. If I'm going to lean with one country or the other, yeah, they say Russia's invading Ukraine. Well, so is Israel invading fucking Palestine. But here you are, fucking everyone's kissing Israel's ass. I'm Palestinian, by the way. But going back to that, no, I'll believe I side personally with Russia. We like to say that, you know, Russia's the bad guy and blah, 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 blah. No, dude. Putin has balls. He's doing what he wants to. We did the same shit in Iraq. We invaded fucking Iraq. We invaded Afghanistan. This is a veteran telling you this. No weapons of mass destruction or any of that shit. We fucking funded Al-Qaeda. We created Al-Qaeda. The CIA gave them weapons. We trained Osama bin Laden. This was all fucking been proven. So if you want to say Russia's the bad guy, then that's your opinion. But I don't think Russia's the bad guy. That's just...
Were you in the military back with when, like 2003, 2004, when we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan?
Those were the OG days. I actually enlisted in 2008.
Okay.
So it was under Obama. We were still fighting. You know.
Okay.
But it wasn't as bad as 2003 and 2004. You know, invasion of Fallujah and all that stuff. I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a psyop, like that whole weapons of mass destruction, you know, leveraging that. And again, you know, we can talk about it now because we've got hindsight. It's like, dude, there were no weapons. There ended up being no weapons of mass destruction. There's no way you guys didn't know that. But that became what they were able to, you know, really rally the American people, rah, you know, Americana, do whatever you need to do in order to do what they did for 20 years,
Yeah.
trillions of
Yeah.
dollars,
Yeah.
a million dead civilians. That's crazy.
All the soldiers that
crazy.
fucking died, dude, for what?
Yeah. All the
For what?
soldiers that gave their life for what they thought they were fighting for. That's
Exactly.
pretty sad now. And I feel like a lot of veterans now, are struggling with realizing what they did,
Yeah,
and
I
hard.
unfortunately personally lost a lot of friends to suicide because of that. So it bothers me, dude, every day. Like I'd be lying if I said it doesn't bother me. It does bother me. I personally would never re-enlist. And I always tell all the young guys now, yeah, you can be a patriot without enlisting. To be a patriot, you don't have to join the Marines or the Army. Being a patriot is defending your country, training, reading the Bible, going to church, a good fellow man to your, being a good guy to your fellow man, raising a family, protecting kids. That's how you're a patriot. You're not a patriot by going and fighting a war. And I fought wars, bro. There's fucking war as hell. There's nothing glorious about it. If I were to go right now, back into private military contracting, I actually wouldn't do it. Even if they offered me $200,000 right now to go to Syria, CIA was like, hey, we need an interpreter come for $200,000, $300,000. I wouldn't go, dude. I'm done with that shit. I will defend, though, my country from cartels. I will go down to the border. That's what being a good patriot is.
Yeah.
Concentrate on our country. Stop fucking concentrating on what the fuck is going on over there. We wasted fucking 20 years doing that shit. It's time to focus here.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that's what the Trump administration does. Let's see. Dude, this has been amazing. I mean,
yeah, I've really enjoyed this. I gotta say,
this is great. I mean, anything else, dude? What do you see happening? What do you see the rest of 2025 playing out as? You think it's going to be a smooth sailing, or you think we're going to be in for more Cybertrucks exploding, more New Orleans type stuff, more just, and again, I'm using those as examples, but more havoc?
I think that was just a taste of what we were going to get in 2025, dude, and it is pretty scary. That's my prediction, is that the Cybertruck and the New Orleans shooting was very small. In my honest opinion, and this might get me in trouble, but I'm going to go ahead and fucking say it. I predict another 9/11 similar attack in 2025. That's my prediction, and it's very scary, dude. Very scary. That's what I think is going to happen this year.
All right. Well, I'll have to be honest back to you, and I've said kind of a similar thing multiple times. I mean,
only a matter of time.
It's percolating. It's percolating. All right, listen. Take good care of yourself, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Ray.
Be careful with those Sicarios. I'm trying to figure out of everybody you talked about who's the most dangerous, and God damn, it feels like those Sicarios.
You want me to tell you who's the most dangerous and who I'm the most scared of? The U.S. government, not the cartel, the U.S. government. If you guys are watching this, I know the feds are watching. They love watching my shit. They're big fans. That's what I call them. They're fans. They're my biggest fans.
They're fans.
I love you guys, and I sent you guys an email, but we'll link up later. But I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Everyone watching out there.
All right, Joey. Stay on the line. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, this was.
Thank you, man. Thank you for giving me, allowing me to come out here on your platform and talk. I really respect you for that. Most people don't like talking about this touchy stuff, but this is exactly what this country needs. We need to talk about the touchy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to talk about the truth. We need to talk about the truth.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Ray. I appreciate you, brother. I'll be in touch, my man.
You got it. Hang on the line a minute. All right, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. This was heavy and light and everything in between. So, all right, talk to you later.
Take care.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.